Hello again, my dear students, and welcome into our digital design class. So we are still on chapter 2, Screen Design Fundamentals, and we are still on the process of familiarizing ourselves regarding the use of the Envision Studio desktop app. But for this session, okay, on the topic screen fundamentals, we will be focusing on using Boolean operations. So for this session, our learning objective is to use Boolean operations to create complex shapes by combining more simple shapes. Okay, so that would be our learning objectives or what are expected from you after watching this video lesson. So we are still on the process of simulating a mobile app design while familiarizing ourselves on the Envision Studio environment. And for this session, I will repeat, I will be introducing the Boolean operations. Okay, so let's start. Envision, by the way, is an example of a vector editing software, just like Adobe Illustrator and CorelDRAW. And this is a powerful vector application because you can draw very complex shapes by hands, but oftentimes you can achieve a complex shape by combining more simple shapes. Okay, and in Envision Studio, there are four methods to combine these shapes together, and those methods are called Boolean operations, which is our topic for today. And these Boolean operations are called union, subtract, intersect, and exclude. And you have to take note of these three considerations for you to use these four Boolean operations. First one is, in order to use a Boolean operation, so the first consideration, the shapes should overlap with each other. Next is there should be more than one shape. And next, lastly is these shapes should be selected. So if you have two shapes, both shapes should be selected for you to apply the Boolean operation. Okay, the union, the subtract, the intersect, and the exclude. Okay. Okay, and let's start with the first Boolean operation, which is union. Okay, so I have here circles, and as you can see in the inspector, I have changed the opacity of these circles to 70, so I can see the circles at the back. Okay, kasi naka-overlap itong top shape dito sa bottom. Kasi pag naka 100 ang opacity nito, hindi ko makikita yung nasa likod, yung shape sa likod. Although possible pa rin naman na ganyan. Pero for the sake of demonstration, okay, i-change ko lang muna yung opacity niya so we can see yung overlapping part nung shape. Okay? So, first consideration, you should have more than one shape. So, correct tayo dyan. Next consideration, the two shapes should overlap, or three shapes should overlap, or four shapes should overlap. So, magkapatong dapat sila. And last, both shapes, kung dalawa man sila, should be selected. And if you want to select both shapes, you have two options. You can either draw a box, bounding box that touches the two shapes, or you can hold shift and click the two circles. You can also select these circles dito sa layers. Pero kung hindi na rename yung mga shapes mo sa layers at nag-duplicate ka tulad ng ginawa ko, mahirap hanapin yon. So, gamitin nyo na lang siguro yung bounding box or yung shift clicking. Okay? And pag nag-select ka ng more than one shape in your artboard, if you can observe, lumalabas dito yung four Boolean operations, yung union selection, subtract selection, intersect selection, and extrude selection. Yang mga yan ay hindi mo makikita sa toolbar pag walang nakaselect na shape, more than one shape. Okay? So union, let's start with union. If I click union here, what union does is that it will combine the selected and overlapping shapes as one shape. And mapapansin mo din, pag clinic mo ang union, observe what will happen in your layers, okay? So when I select this and click union, may makikreate na group, okay? And if you click this drop-down arrow, you can see here the two ellipses, okay, na magkasama at nilagay sa iisang group, combined shape, okay? And mangyayari yan talaga when you use this Boolean operations, okay? Ang maganda sa Envision, just kasi sa ibang applications, 'pag ginamit mo na ang union, hindi mo na puwedeng i-edit yung individual shapes, eh. Ang maganda sa InVision is that kahit na-combine sila as iisang shape, as you can see here, you can still select individual shapes na kinombine mo, okay, by selecting the name or the shape here in the layer, or you can double click that shape to select the individual layer. So, pwede mo pa siyang i-resize if you want this type of shape. Okay, pwede mo pa siyang, double click ko lang pwede mo pa siyang i-move or i-reposition if you want that kind of shape. Okay, yun ang maganda sa Envision over other vector editing software. So that's union. So it will combine the selected and the overlapping shapes. And take note, you can still edit shapes individually by double clicking or by selecting the shape in your layers panel. Okay. Next, we have subtract. Okay. So I just need to select them both, more than one shape, overlapping, and select them both kasi dalawa lang naman sila. Okay. And click subtract. Okay, tingnan lang natin. This is by the way. So, ilalagay ko lang siya sa 100 opacity para makita natin kung nasaan yung top at bottom layer. So, we have two shapes here. This is the bottom layer or bottom shape, and this is the top shape or the top layer. What subtract selection does is that it will subtract the top layer from the bottom layer, and it will use the top layer as the cutting tool to cut into the layer below, removing the shape of the top layer. Okay? Top shape that does the subtracting, and bottom shape gets the subtraction removed from it. Okay? So, parang ito, ikakat niya yung part na na-overlap dito. So, I will just select them both and click subtract. Okay? What happened is that yung nasa top layer, kinat niya yung na-overlap niya sa bottom layer. So, yan ang gamit ng subtract. Next, we have intersect. Okay? So, I have more than one shape. The shapes overlap. Okay? And I have selected the shapes and I will click now Intersect Selection. Okay? What intersect does naman is that, okay, kung nakikita nyo yung part kung saan sila nag-overlap, yan actually yung part kung saan sila nag-overlap. Okay? Intersect will retain or take the overlapping areas. Okay? So, hindi naman sila nag-overlap dyan sa part na yan. Hindi rin sila nag-overlap sa part na yan. So, dito sila nag-overlap. Dito sila nagpatong. So, ang ginagawa ng intersect, nire-retain niya ito. Okay? And tinatanggal niya yung mga part na walang overlapping na nangyari. Okay? So, if I click intersect, ito lang yung may iwan. But take note, you can always double-click yung mga shapes ninyo. Okay? If you want na i-move, wait lang. If you want na i-move nyo pa rin yung shape ninyo. Okay, so minumove ko yung circle dito sa aking right. So, ganun yung nangyayari. Okay, so yan. Pwede kang mag-create ng leaf using that. Intersect. Okay, so that's intersect. And lastly, yung kabaliktaran ng intersect. Okay, we have exclude. So, ito yung exclude ko. Ang exclude naman ang kung ang intersect nire-retain niya yung nag-overlap, ang exclude naman ang i-retain niya is yung walang overlapping na nangyari. So, this will be removed and this will be retained. Okay, so I will click exclude. Ayan. So, natanggal yung part kung saan sila nag-overlap. Ang naiwan is yung part na walang overlapping. Okay? So, those are the 4 Boolean operations. And sa mga succeeding part of this video lesson, let's put Boolean operations in action, okay, by creating some sample icons that we can use doon sa previous mobile app design na ginamit ko for the for this uh, mobile app design project, okay? Okay, guys, now that we have understood the use of the 4 Boolean operations, let's take a look at a few fun examples of what we can accomplish using each of these 4 Boolean operations. Okay, so I have prepared here some mobile app icons. So from mobile app design, we are now going to app icon design. So 2-in-1 tayo sa ginagawa natin. So while we are familiarizing ourselves on the use of InVision Studio desktop app, okay, we are simulating mobile app user interface design. At the same time, we are creating our app icons. Okay, so these are examples of app icons. So we have the notification bell here. We have the cloud. Okay, yung wish list. If you want to add wish list or favorites, ito yung ginagamit. This is an icon for code, media. We have chat, search, filter, home, download, add to wish list or add to favorites. We have the Instagram. We have the profile icon. I don't know what's the name of this icon. Basta nakikita ko din ito. We have the card icon and we have the close icon. Madami actually icons na pwede nating gawin. Pero for the sake na meron lang akong may example to demonstrate the use of the four Boolean operations. So, namili na lang ako ng mga icons na isa-simulate natin for demonstration purposes. Okay, so let's start with the very simple or the simplest icon here. We have the close icon. Okay, it's important also na pag nag-work ka sa Envision, kasi lalo na kung gagawa ka ng mga stars later on and you want to align them, okay, important na yung artboard. You click your artboard, you can add grid, you can hide and show your grid. Okay, para mas ma-align mo yung mga kailangan ma-align. And also, it's important na pag gumagawa ka ng icon, you need to zoom in every now and then para mas accurate yung icon mo. And to zoom in, you can use this. Okay, yung control 0 to full size of the screen. Control 1. Okay, so try na lang natin. So, control 0, full screen ng selected artboard. Control 1 is if-fit niya sa screen yung lahat ng artboard mo. So, if you have multiple artboards, if-fit niya yun sa screen. Okay, Control 2 kung meron kang selected artboard, i-full screen niya yon, or meron kang selected icon at prines mo ang Control 2, i-full screen niya yon. Okay, so yun yung mga options natin to zoom in and zoom out. The artboard, the selection, okay? And pwede mo din gamitin ang control plus or control minus to zoom in and zoom out. So ako, I'll be using control minus, okay, to zoom in and zoom out. So zoom out, control minus, zoom in, control plus. Okay, so let's start simulating this icon, okay? So I just added rounded rectangle and I will be using the shortcut keys na lang. So pag rounded rectangle, you press U. Okay, you hold shift if you want to draw a perfect rounded rectangle. And then ang ginamit ko na size is 50 by 50. Okay, and I will change the color of this to pink. Okay, let's try yellow na lang muna for this example para ma-differentiate natin siya. And then, for the X or the close icon, I also use a rounded rectangle actually. So, I'll press U again. Okay, and I'll draw a rectangle or rounded rectangle. Ayan. And then I'll place here and I'll change the rotation to 45 degrees. You can use the rotate sa inspector or you can press control, point your or hover your mouse at the corner of the shape and rotate. You can also do that. Pero para mas accurate yung rotation ko, I will enter the rotation value here. And I'll press control D. Meron tayong dalawang way to duplicate or tatlo. You can copy and paste. So, Control-C, Control-V. You can hold your Alt key and duplicate. Pero if you want to duplicate in place, you can press Control-D. So, na-duplicate yan as you can see here. And just change the rotation of that to -45 para mag-rotate siyang ganon. So, we can simulate yung X. Now, para maging isang object ito, kasi separate object pa sila, you select both and click union. So kung naalala nyo yung discussion natin earlier, union will combine the two selected and overlapping shapes. Okay, so magiging isang object yan. So you can remove the fill as one and you can add border if you want to. Okay, so nasa inyo kung gagamit ba kayo ng fill or ng border. So tayo, gagamit tayo ng fill for the meantime. So mag-white ako. Okay, so that is our first icon and that is the simplest icon I think dito. Next, we have the, ito, susunod. Simple icon din yan. Okay, so I'll just hold Alt and drag that box and let's simulate this kasi ito, gumamit lang din siya ng rounded rectangle. So I'll press U. Yan. And if you want to change the radius, kasi naka-default siya na 8, you can click there and press the arrow down on your keyboard, or you can drag here, or you can type the value here. Okay, so okay na tayo sa 2. Okay, so this is my first. So this is a card icon, yung credit card icon. Okay, and then if you accidentally double click that, you can edit the anchor points which will be discussed later. So ang gawin mo lang, either press enter or click this para makabalik ka dun sa edit. Okay, and I will also add another rounded rectangle. So I'll press U again and add a rounded rectangle here. So you can press Control plus, click the middle mouse button. Okay, and then if you want to subtract, so ang gagamitin ko naman dito ay subtract kasi I want to remove that part. Make sure na yung cutting tool ninyo or cutting layer is at the top. So I'll be using this top layer, yung rounded rectangle na maliit, to cut this part of the bottom layer. Okay, so we will select this both and make sure na nasa top layer yung cutting layer. Okay, and then click subtract. Okay, and then we have a card icon. Okay, so that is our card icon. Okay, next, let's go to the, ano ba ang simple pa dito? Okay, the search. Okay, so we will duplicate that again by holding Alt. Okay, and I'll press O because O is the shortcut key or hotkey of ellipse, and hold the shift key if you want to draw a perfect circle. Okay, and ang ginamit ko ulit dyan is a rectangle yata, or you can use rounded rectangle. Okay, so I'll press R na lang. So I'll be using rectangle instead of rounded rectangle for the handle. Okay, I will select both and make sure na naka-center sila. Okay, and then let's union or click union to combine the two shapes. And then let's remove the fill and let's add a border na puti. Okay, if you want to rotate this, you can use this rotation option or you can hold control, position your mouse at the corner and drag. Okay, and then I have my search. Okay, you can also change yung thickness, okay, by using your arrow up and arrow down, or by typing a value here, or by dragging the label. Okay, so I have now my search. Next, let's, okay, yung cloud icon. Okay, for the cloud icon, ang ginamit ko dyan is rounded rectangle. So I'll press U and draw my rounded rectangle. And I've changed the radius to something rounded. Okay, and then I added a circle or ellipse. So I'll press O. Okay, O. And add mas malaking ellipse. And I can duplicate this and resize, or you can redraw another ellipse. You can position that here. Okay, and then after that, let's click union. Okay, so magiging cloud siya. So pwedeng lagyan ng border or pwedeng gumamit ng fill. And you can change the weight here. Okay? And you can always, in case na hindi kayo kontento dun sa itsura niya, sabi ko kanina, you can always double click that and You can always change the size, the position of your shapes so you can get yung gusto nyo na itsura niya. Okay? Next, we have the heart or the add to wish list yata. Yung heart, yun yung icon for yung mga shopping app. Okay? Okay, so for the heart, I only use rounded rectangle. Okay, so let's zoom in and I'll press U to add a rounded rectangle. So, ang rounded lang is yung top and hindi rounded dito sa bottom part niya. So, if you want to just change the radius sa taas and not affecting the other sides, you can click this. So, 0 sa bottom and 8, I think, doon sa taas. Okay, ayan. And let's rotate this to 45 degrees. And let's duplicate, Control D. And yung duplicate niya, let's change the rotation to 45. And that's just position. And then you can create a heart. Okay. So I will just zoom in para mas madali ko siyang i-adjust. Okay. Ayan. And then after that, of course, para maging iisang object siya, okay, you can click union. And remove the fill. Nasa inyo kung gusto nyo ang naka-color, ang may color is yung fill niya or yung outline niya or the border. Okay, and then we have our add to wish list icon. Okay, next, let's do the notifications. So from top left to bottom right na tayo. Okay, so let's add another box. Okay, and let's simulate this notification bell. So I'll just press Control plus to zoom in. Okay, so rounded rectangle din yung ginamit ko doon. So I'll just press U. Okay, and draw a rounded rectangle. I'll duplicate that, Control D, or you can hold Alt, Control D, and I will just resize the width to simulate yung bell. Okay, and center. Okay, and hold Alt, duplicate that again, and resize for the handle, and place that here. Okay, so kung gusto mong mag-center, you can use pala yung Alt-H na shortcut key if you want. And I'll be adding an ellipse. Hold Shift to draw a perfect ellipse. Okay, and ito na yung sinasabi ko using the edit path. So may mga anchor points ang ating mga shapes and if you double click that shape, makikita mo yung mga anchor points and you can add anchor points by clicking on the part na walang anchor point. You can delete anchor points by clicking cut path here and select yung gusto mong i-cut na anchor point, okay? Para matanggal yung part ng shape na yon, okay? After that, click that again and then position. Okay, so ito yung nandun sa baba niya. And then after that, let's union. Ang naka-union lang actually is itong nasa taas na bell. Okay, and let's just change the fill. Okay, and we have the notification bell. So masyadong malaki. Okay. Next icon, we have, so tapos tayo sa bell, cloud, heart. Okay, next is for the code. Pwede mo din gamitin ito for back or previews and next. Magkaibang box lang siya. Pero pag ganyan na dalawang nag-back to back na arrow, this is a code icon. Okay, so I will just duplicate this again. And for me to simulate that, okay, so I will just draw a rounded rectangle. Okay. And let's lock the radius para pare-pareho. Okay, gawin natin tong, sige, okay lang yung 8. And then let's rotate to 45 degrees for us to have a diamond shape. Masyado siyatang malaki. 2 lang. Okay, yan. And then, para makita natin, so we have a diamond na. Nagkaroon tayo ng diamond by just rotating the rounded rectangle. Now, let's duplicate this by holding Alt. Okay, and position this. So, ang gusto nating makuha is isang part na yan. Okay? So, para matanggal itong part kung saan sila nag-overlap at ito lang yung matira, ang gagamitin natin ay subtract. So, we have our top layer here and our bottom layer. This top layer will cut the portion kung saan sila overlap. Okay? So, subtract. Ayan. And then we have our arrow. Okay. So, I will just resize this and change the fill to something like this. And next, let's duplicate, Control D, and change the rotation to 180. Ayan, and let's just move. When we have our code icon. Okay? Next icon is the media icon. So, mabilis lang din gawin yung media icon kasi ellipse lang siya and then triangle. Okay? So, I will just zoom in, press O, hold shift habang nagdo-draw ng ellipse. And then, I'll add a rectangle. Ilagay ko lang muna dito sa baba. And then, I want to select my artboard because I want to add a grid. Take note, hindi lalabas yung grid pag hindi nakaselect yung artboard. I need my grid for me to draw a perfect rectangle. Okay, so I have here kasi wala tayong rectangle dito. We don't have polygons na tool. That's why we need to create our polygon. Okay, so I have my rectangle here. I can double click this or click edit path para mapalabas ko yung mga anchor points ko. So I can move this anchor points para makapag-create ako ng triangle. Okay, I'll press enter to go back to the edit mode. Yan. And place that here. Zoom in para mas makita natin. Ano ba yung itsura niya doon? Wait lang. Okay, so naka-outline lang ito. Wala siyang fill. And let's just change the outline weight to something like this. And let's position that at the center, at the middle. Okay, and let's change the fill to white. Okay, then we have our media. Now let's move to our chat icon. Okay, so I will just duplicate this again. Alt. I will just duplicate this box again. Okay, and let's duplicate this icon. So I will just zoom in and add ellipse. So O, hold shift to draw a perfect ellipse. Okay, then after that, let's add a rectangle and double click this rectangle so we can see yung mga anchor points so we can move these anchor points. Okay. Exit by pressing enter or by clicking that again. And let's move this here. Masyadong malaki. Okay. Yan. And then, let's click union para maging iisang icon sila. Okay. Hold your shift while resizing if you want to maintain the proportion. Okay. And now we have our chat icon. Okay. Next, we have, tapos na tayo sa search, we have the filter icon. Okay, let's duplicate this again. And let's zoom in. So, the same yung process kanina. So, I'll just type or I'll just draw a rectangle shape. Click edit path because we need this. Okay, shape. Press enter to exit. Okay, we can resize this para magkaroon ng maging ganun yung width niya. And then, dito muna siya. Let's add another rectangle for the funnel part or ayan. And let's just zoom in para nakikita natin siya. Okay, and the same, you can click this or double click. Oops, ando lang natin. And just move this a little bit higher. Okay. And then after that, let's click union para maging iisang object sila. Okay. I think ganito yung nailagay. Okay. And we have our filter icon. Okay. Next, we have I don't know the name of this icon, but let's do this anyway. Okay. So let's just zoom in and add an ellipse. So I'll press O. Okay, and place it at the center. I'll hold Alt and duplicate that ellipse and position. Let's make sure na equal yung distances. So select natin yung tatlo and distribute it horizontally. So equal naman yung distribution. And then after that, let's click exclude. So exclude will remove the portion that overlaps and will retain the portion na hindi nag-overlap. Okay, so nakuha ba natin or na-simulate ba natin yung okay, so kulang tayo ng space. So you can always double click that and move that shape in case na kinulang ka. Okay. And then we have that icon. I don't know the name of this icon. Okay, let's just change the field to white. Okay, next we have the profile icon. And I think habang ginagawa natin ito na nakukuha nyo na yung concept kung paano nyo gagamitin ang inyong Boolean operations to create your icons for your mobile app design. Okay, so for the profile icon, profile pic icon, so I will just add. So gumamit lang ako dito ng puro ellipses. Okay, so I will just hold Alt and duplicate this and resize. Okay, so I will just change the fill para nakikita ko siya. Okay, so that is for the head. O. And draw a bigger ellipse. Masyado yatang malaki. And then since ito yung mga nasa top, so pag nag-subtract ako, so pag nag-subtract ako, itong dalawang nasa top, i-remove niya yung portion ng bottom layer. So pag klinik ko ang subtract, ayan. Okay, and then I have my profile. Oops. I have my profile pic icon. Okay? Ano pa? Instagram, madali na lang yung Instagram kasi rounded rectangle lang naman lahat. For the download, okay, itong tatlo. So let's go to the star icon. Okay, so I will be needing this grid for my star. So ang ginawa ko dyan sa star, gumamit ako ng rectangle. So I'll press R. And gumamit ako ng 4 na grid. So when I double click, I can drag that there and here and also drag this here. Okay, so meron na ako nung paa niya. And then after that, ay dapat dinuplicate ko pa pala muna. By the way, pwede naman ako mag-drawing ulit. Okay, so mag-drawing na lang ako ulit. And double click and I'll drag that at the center. So parang dalawang triangle. Okay. Enter. And just position kung saan sa dapat nakaposition. And then makikita nyo naman kung ano yung magiging itsura niya. Ayan. Masyado siyang okay. So ipoposition nyo na lang siya para hanggang makita nyo yung star. Ayan. Dapat hindi nakikita yun sa baba. And then, yes. Okay. Then we have our star. Okay, so you can always change yung position. You can always resize para makita nyo yung gusto nyong itsura ng star ninyo. And then after that, of course, you need to click union. Okay, para makuha nyo yung or maging iisang object siya. Okay? Take note, pwede mo pa ring ilipat yung mga individual shapes in case na hindi okay yung result. Okay? Next, we have the home icon or the download icon. Okay, so we have the download icon. So I will just add another one. And I'll press R to draw a rectangle. I'll press R again to draw another rectangle. Double click this and move the anchor points. Press enter to go back to edit mode. And I will just resize. Okay, and then I have an arrow. Just center that. Another rectangle for the download to complete the download icon. And then gawin natin siyang iisang object by clicking union or isang shape by clicking union. And then let's change the fill to white. And we have our download icon. And last but not the least, we have the home. Okay. So, I will just add another one. So, ganun din yung concept. Mag-add ka lang ng rectangle. Okay. And then, double-click that and move. Oops. Click muna to add an anchor point and then move that anchor point up. Okay. Let's add another rectangle and draw it here. Make sure na nasa center siya. And subtract para magkaroon ng pinto. Okay, and we have our home icon. Okay, so this is how you use your Boolean operations in InVision. And of course, you can create another or more icons. So simple lang ito, you can create your own icons just by using simple shapes to create complex shapes. Okay, so I hope you understood our discussion for today and for this session. And I'm hoping that you are working na with your mobile app design. And of course, nadagdagan siya kasi you need to create your own icons, okay, para mailagay nyo yung mga icons na yan dito sa gagawin yung mobile apps. Like this, meron siyang hide icon, meron siyang shopping cart icon, notification icon, back, add to wish list, favorite icon, yung star. Okay, so you will be adding icons talaga doon sa mobile app design nyo to complete your user interface design. Okay? So that ends, guys, yung discussion natin for today regarding Boolean operations. And I hope you understood the lesson. If you still have questions related to the topic or other concerns related to the topic, please feel free to send me a message via Messenger. Okay, please don't hesitate to ask kasi mas gusto ko yung ganun na nagtatanong kayo para mas matulungan ko kayo. Okay? So, thank you guys for watching and listening and see you at the next video lesson.